for, what, 13 years, 14 years on Bonanza. Fine actor, also an excellent director. On Saturday, March 30th, from 9 to 11 on NBC, we'll present the movie Little House on the Prairie, in which he stars. Would you welcome Michael Landon?
Get a little risque, rolled up the sleeves.
Oh, yeah, well, you can't. That's a tough act to follow, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, I see you all the time on television with the milk.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, all over the place.
Milk and jelly beans.
That's right.
Pretzels and mustard. Very good.
Did you see that on the opening of our show?
Certainly did. I liked how he made it smile. I don't know how he did that. A little tush going off there was beautiful.
I was actually so stunned, you don't know what to say. You know, what would you say?
Huh? Hi.
Goodbye. When's the movie show? I just mentioned March 31st, which is when? This
30th.
The 30th, excuse me. That would be when? Saturday?
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
Saturday? You star in this, or did you direct
Star in it, directed it, and I produced it.
And we got a film clip you're going to show us tonight, right? Does it need any setting up, or do we...
Oh, no, except that I think most shows start out with a big action sequence, and I thought tonight it's really a show about a family and the closeness of a father to his daughters and to his wife. So just thought we'd show you some soft, touching moments.
And a nice dramatic...
Yeah.
Fine, I have not seen it, so you have to watch. Can you see the monitors here in the studio? Mm-hmm. We'll run it, and...
Carolyn? I ran in a track. I hurt myself badly.
Okay, we're rolling.
It's really dark in this chair, Carolyn.
Peppermint sticks. I'm gonna save mine. Not me.
Ma'am, thought you might not mind having these here with your bird.
Mine.
You're burning up.
Your hand is like ice. We're all sick, Charles.
Take an enema.
I gave you a cow and a calf. They're ours?
Yeah. Calf was an extra bonus because it's too young to leave its mother.
Now there'll be milk for the children.
I don't care about the children.
Butter.
I'm fed up with the kids.
You all right?
Oh, my butt. 15 years on Bonanza. It still hurts when I ride. Because we have lighter moments too in the show. It's not all serious.
Those are what they call... I had to see those. I didn't want to see them before because somebody said you were coming up with something special, and those are what they call the outtakes.
Yes.
The things that happen when you're filming and you blow your lines and so forth.
Yeah.
That's funny.
A lot of times you really want to kick yourself, though, for not letting the camera roll longer. Because most of the times the operator, I mean, once I scream I really hurt myself, we cut the camera. Then after the things that happen, you wish you would have let it roll because it just gets funnier and funnier.
Those are very funny. Jack Warner sent me once a reel from, I guess, a lot of things they had around the studios for years. And they're absolutely hysterical when they really goof. They had one, I think it was somebody, you remember Charles Starrett, the Western, he was in the era of Buck Jones, who missed the horse once. He came up and he put his foot in the whole saddle came off of the horse and fell on the ground. And then, of course, they say things that you cannot say on the air, but it is absolutely incredible. Did you do that a lot on Bonanza?
Well, the Cartwrights have 800 of those in the Library of Congress, in the film library. The Lorne was classic.
Did you try to break each other up or what?
Oh, are you kidding? Every time you would see a dining room scene where Lorne is sitting there seriously telling the boys that although we're 36 years old, we can't go to town alone yet.
I always wondered about that whole relationship in that family. A little weird.
The Cartwrights were all right.
Okay.
Right. Thank goodness Hop Sing was a little... But what we would do to Lorne would be sitting there, and no matter what the food was, we liked peas the best because you could fire them from a long distance. And Dan Blocker and I would sit there with spoons, bouncing them off Lorne's head in between dialogue. He'd get out of line and pea would hit him. You'd have to wipe that off.
That gets expensive too, doesn't it? I mean,
No, peas are cheap.
I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. I did a very short stint once on Broadway in Tunnel of Love, and after you've done a play, and Ed's done the thing he did on Broadway, after you've done the same thing, as you well know, for about 2 months you get a little bored with the dialogue. So they would start to do things on stage that the audience can't see, which is really unprofessional, because it's not fair to the audience to see actors on stage doing crazy things. But if the audience was here and you're facing each other, a piece of lint would, be in the light, and the other actor would be looking at it like this, looking right at you with these terrible cross eyes, following this, and you're doing the same. It is absolute murder.
What Dan used to like to do is because we had a lot of fun on the show, and the majority of times we would have actors on the show that were a great bunch of guys to be with, or gals, as the case may be. But if you got a guy who was really a stiff and really started to irritate you, Dan would just go. And we would start an argument. We would carry the argument over to lunch, and he would invite the actor to lunch. And I would sit in the next booth, and we'd continue the argument. And it would get louder in a very crowded restaurant, and louder, and the actor is very nervous, but you don't say no when a 300-pound cowboy asks you to go eat lunch with him. And he would get a little more frightened. Finally, I would grab the steak knife off the table, lunge at Dan, grab a hold of him, jerk him under the table, screaming at him, lift the knife up, and Dan wore a hairpiece. And I just tear it off and hold it up like that. And you'd get some guys that would really, little pill under the tongue.
Cardiac City. Dan had a great sense of humor because the first night I think he was on the show.
Oh,
you remember that? He came on by himself. Or were you on it with him at that time? Anyway, he came out first. And he was a big fellow, 6'5", 300 pounds, something like that. And he came on like he was drunk, which he wasn't. And he walked out, and he started to walk, and he did it, the greatest comedy pratfall you have ever seen, flat on his face. And there's that awful silence for a moment where people don't know if it's for real or not.
No, he was great at that. He used to terrify directors with that. He'd come back after lunch when we had a new director. What time are we going to shoot it? I want a close-up. Big close-up. Lauren Green gets a lot of close-ups. I don't get a lot of close-ups. And the director's going, well, we're not gonna do the close-ups yet. Why not? Well, I'm gonna do the master shot. Then the director would end up immediately going to Lorne, because he's the father of the world. Lorne, what do we do with him? Lorne would go right along with it. He said, I wouldn't tell him you don't want to shoot. He said, well, I'll just pretend we're rolling the cameras. He said, he'll know, he can hear it. And he would hang this guy up for an hour, just driving bananas.
That's
He did a thing with a bunch of people on the set one day. We had a bunch of babies, real babies, as opposed to rubber babies.
You know, that milk is getting to it.
Right.
Oh, you've been too much of that calcium in the brain is
we've got 15 little babies just screaming and wailing. It was a baby contest on one of the episodes. So we must have had 50 visitors on the set. And they all looking at Dan. They love him, the whole of Cartwright's good guys and all that. And Dan is hugging one of these little babies, love babies. And he puts the baby down, but he had the prop man put a rubber baby down in the basket so they couldn't see it. So he put the baby down, and the baby started to cry right away. And he said, no, now come on now, don't cry, Uncle Dan's got you there. And he started to walk across the stage towards all these poor innocent folk, and he tripped. Now up goes this baby in a blanket right over their heads, and the women are going, ah!
There goes under the tongue again.
Right.
That's frightening.
We never were injured on the show, but we lost a lot of visitors.
You know, H. Allen Smith did a book once, I think we talked about it, called The Complete Practical Joker, in which he recounted a lot of the things that people used to. They don't do the very involved practical jokes. And I think the first one was, and you've probably heard of it, is the fellow who walked out of the... He had a bench made, went to Central Park, and it looks exactly like the benches in Central Park. He actually had it made. He smuggled it like into the park when nobody was watching. And now he's sitting on the bench, and he waits until a policeman walks by, and he picks up the bench and walks out of the park with it. And naturally, he gets arrested. They take him down, and now he produces the slip. He says to the cop, he says, "It's my bench." You know, he says, "It's my bench. I paid for it." The cop took him in. Now he produces the bill for the bench, and they have to let him off. That's how far they would go just to do something like that. We have to do this? Gonna sell something? All righty. We will be back after this short pause.